higher level of divine love and light. Let us turn loose of all the thoughts of the day and bring our full attention, our full consciousness to this moment, to this space, and to this teaching. As we lift our thoughts upward in vibration, we feel divine love, divine light, and as a circle, we become a channel. Each one here is a part of the channel. Each one in this room contributes their vibrations to the contact that is being made. So as you hold your thoughts high, clear your minds of all negative or disturbing thoughts, and let yourself be relaxed and at peace, then you can be an open, clear, clean channel and lend your vibrations to this contact with the higher dimension. Think on these things as we become silent. Good evening, my dear ones. This is Don coming to you from the higher levels, as you call them, of divine love and light. It is indeed a pleasure to greet the new ones here and to see your interest growing in this contact with these dimensions. I would say to you that there are many, many small groups such as this all over your planet in many countries. And these small groups help to raise the vibrations of this planet and help to keep the balance. What you think of as the negative and positive balance is important to keep the balance, keep the negative from overriding the positive on your planet, so that you do not have too much destruction as your planet moves through this golden age. And this is one of the things that I wanted to speak to you tonight about, is the new age, as you have called it. It is what has been known as the golden age. Each 26,000 years or so, a new age, the golden age, arrives. As your sun travels around another huge sun, much larger than it, and makes the complete cycle, then it is called the golden age. Each age is a little over 2,000 years. And as you move through this, you have different influences because you are in different places in the universe. Now, as you learn to understand this and to realize that the new age is here and now, it has been here, and the influence has been here 150 to 200 years. When your Industrial Revolution started, this was the effect, the first effect, or one of the first effects of the new age beginning. In the golden age, as it is referred to, there is an abundance of everything for everyone. And some of you may think in terms of limitation, but I tell you, this is a great opportunity for those in the physical. This is the most opportune time to be in the physical body in the history of this planet. These are things that some of you have talked about and have known about. I wanted to make this clear because I want to speak to you tonight about taking advantage of this opportunity. How can you take advantage of the opportunity of being in the physical at this particular time? you cleanse yourself, your body, your astral, your mental, your spiritual self of all past negation, and you move higher in consciousness. You see, my dear ones, the vibrations of your planet are raising every day. As each day, as you call it, goes by, the vibrations are much higher. And through this age, the vibrations will be so high that soon the entities who are still confused and who are not of a spiritual nature, have not grown to their spiritual understanding, will not be able to incarnate on this planet. And then this will indeed be heaven on earth. This is the prophecies that have come down through the ages, and even in your book that you call the Bible. I would speak to you about this tonight to help you to understand in a larger sense, from a larger picture, instead of your day-to-day, month-to-month, or year-to-year experience. I would like for you to look at a much larger picture of yourself and the universe. Because, my dear ones, you are life. You are the universe. And as the changes that come about in the universe, so they come about within you. And if your free will, if with your free will, you do not allow these changes to come about, you do not allow yourself to have greater understanding and raise your consciousness, then you will incarnate on another planet in the near future, instead of going on with this planet. And it would please myself and your teachers and your guides if you could raise your consciousness and stay with this planet through these great changes that are coming about. This is not just a particular time of change, because life is continually changing. Life is continually bursting and expanding into more of itself. This is the nature of life. But at this particular time, there are greater changes taking place because of your place in the universe and because of three suns lining up, and they will, at a certain time, as you think of it, hit your planet. Now, the sun that your sun travels around, at this time, some of its rays are hitting your planet. And this is what scientists have called cosmic rays, and they do not understand them as yet and are learning more about them. But as time goes on, the other sun will come in alignment, and this is when this planet will be lifted up to a self-illuminating star instead of a dark reflecting planet that it now is. Your planet, my dear ones, is an entity, just as you are an entity. It's a living being, and it has nurtured you, it has mothered you, and has brought you through many lifetimes to where you are now. If you will stop to consider, we take everything that we use on the physical from the earth, from the planet. We get our oil to make gas from. We have our clothes that come from the animals that eat the grass, and the food that is grown nourishes the body. It is time for the entity of this planet to be raised up in consciousness. And it is a great time of celebration. there will be some disturbances because of so many negative thoughts that have been generated through the centuries on this planet, and some of them are still active around your planet. And because of this, there will be some physical disturbances, but nothing for you to fear. When you align yourself with the laws of life, eternal life, and your body, your mind, and your spirit, then you have nothing to fear. You will be in the right place at the right time. I do feel some thoughts of disturbance here, and this is not my purpose in talking to you about this tonight. You see, in this group, there are some of you who know the art of sending love and being a channel for divine love to flow through. And as you think positive, loving thoughts and open the doors of your heart and your minds to allow this divine force to flow through, divine love is a substance of everything that is, because God is love, and God is the substance of everything that exists. Everything that you see, my dear ones, on this plane has life force, or it would not exist. And so it comes from the one source. Now, as you move through your experiences on this plane and take advantage of the opportunities that are offered you that so many call trouble and problems, but they are truly opportunities. You can use them as stepping stones or tripping stones. And as you learn to not be so disturbed by things that happen to or around you, and use them as stepping stones, you are raising your consciousness. You see, my dear ones, this is not your real home. Your true home are on the higher dimensions that I am speaking from. Your true home is not of the physical. The physical is a schoolroom, and as your writer Shakespeare said, it is a play on a stage, and you are the actors and actresses playing out different roles for you to grow through. It does make sense whenever you stop to think about it from the large picture. When you stop to think of it in a small time frame, it doesn't seem to make sense. But my dear ones, it does all make sense when you look at it from a long ways in the past to a long ways into what you think of as the future, and see the large picture and the drama that is being played out on your planet. This is a bit much to put into one lesson, but I felt it was needed for this group here tonight to understand and to maybe start to comprehend what I am trying to convey. Take advantage, my dear ones, of the great opportunities that are here for you. A few hundred years ago, these opportunities were not here. Very few of the opportunities that are here in this present time were not here a few hundred years back. But they are here now, and you see, instead of time of the vibrations speeding up, they are accelerating. Not just speeding up, they are accelerating, and they will continue to accelerate. Now, you have nothing to fear when you know that you are divine, that you are eternal, that you are one with the whole of life, and the whole of life is one with you, which means you are one with God, and God is the life force that you are. As you understand this, then you can go with the flow of the updraft of raising the vibrations at this particular time. When you look at your world and listen to the news, you see a lot of things that could be disturbing to you. You see a lot of things happening all at once, it seems like. And many things, wars are still continuing on your planet, unrest, upheavals, even in the planet itself, but of the people also. Be not disturbed by these changes. This is a part of change. When, for example, you have a boil on your body, maybe you have heard of a boil. There's not, our nutrition is much better now, but some may have heard of a boil. It is poison that is in the blood, and it rises to the surface as a very sore place. But when this boil is not explodes, but when it comes up to a head and then is drained off, then the sore spot heals. And this is what is happening on your plane. There's been much poison through negative, fear-filled thoughts generated through a long period of time. And so these things occur to cleanse the planet and the entities on the planet from the poison or the destructive negative thoughts that have been generated for a long time. Do not be concerned about these things that are happening, but know the truth, the real truth about it, the eternal truth. And as you understand the eternal truth of life, then you can be a channel for the divine love and light and healing to flow through. You can be an open, clear, clean channel to be a part of the answer instead of a part of the problem. This is very much needed at this time, and this is why so many groups such as this one are coming together over the face of this planet. Those who have the desire to understand, to raise their consciousness, are coming together to study together, to grow together. And I tell you, my dear ones, when you come together as a group such as this, the power is multiplied as many times as there are entities here. And I would say something else that I failed to tell you at first. There are many, many here who are not in the physical. There are many here from other dimensions. Some of them are as you are. They have come to learn because they did not have the opportunity to go to a group or did not take the opportunity while they were in the physical. And so they have come to learn and to grow. Your teachers and your guides are here with you, shining love and light into your minds and hearts, helping you to understand the truth of what is being spoken. Your language, my dear ones, is very limiting, and if we can bring down the spirit of love and light to bring the understanding from the words that are being spoken and let it be assimilated into your consciousness, then it is all right. It is much better. This is an accelerating group this evening, and it is one of the reasons is because we are speaking of an accelerating thing that is happening on your plane. And there are many, many here in the invisible who have come to be with you this evening. Now, as we have conducted the groups in the past, we give you a chance to ask questions as you will. I do not always answer every question that is asked, but most of the questions I try to give an answer that you can understand. Are there questions here tonight that you would ask?
In the Course of Miracles, it speaks about purification in order to better receive the messages from the divine levels of love and light. You tonight spoke, Gideon, about cleansing. Would you please give us more detail as to what do you mean mentally, spiritually, and physically about purification?
Yes. You see, as your teacher, Donald, has taught you, everything flows from the highest point of consciousness down to the lowest point. So each dimension has an influence on the dimension below it. Now, yours is one of the lower dimensions that you are operating from at this time. And when you come through the birth channel into the physical, you are conditioned, you are brainwashed, or whatever words that you want to use. And as most of the entities on this planet are negative, you are conditioned in a negative way. And unless you have brought a great deal of understanding with you from your past, you are open for this negative conditioning. And it does come in. And as you have different experiences, you react to them in different ways. Now, most of you are learning to react in a positive, loving way, no matter what the experience appears to be. But those negative patterns that have been programmed in this incarnation and other incarnations are there in your soul memory, or as your teacher says, in your subconscious. And so this needs to be cleansed for you to be a better open, clear, clean channel. You have certain classes that you go to learn this, and you can also learn it just by going within yourself and making contact with that higher part of yourself, which is the God within you. Most on this plane need a little extra help. And so when you come to class and you understand that you have been more negative than you realize, then you start to clean up your act, as you would say, by thinking positive, loving, constructive thoughts, much more than you allow the negative, destructive thoughts. And as this comes about, you see your whole demeanor changes. Your physical body changes, your mind changes, and the spiritual being that you are has much more effect on this physical and mental part that you're using as tools to reach the physical. As this cleansing comes about, then it opens the doors from the physical upward, and you can then receive the divine love and light of understanding. And the more that your doors are open from the physical through the astral and the mental levels, the more you can understand and comprehend. And when you come to a lesson such as this, then you either are disturbed by it, or you understand part of it, or you understand all of it. And this is determined by how much cleansing and purification that you have done. It is eliminating the negative, fear-filled thoughts, patterns especially, that you have accumulated through many lifetimes. And this is a very important thing to be able to do, to stay with this planet and the great, great experiences that you will have if you are able to stay with the planet in the next few thousand years as it moves upward in consciousness and becomes a bright, shining star in your universe. Does this help your understanding?
Very much.
Are there other questions?
I have a question. We each of us create our environments with problems in them so that we can assimilate the gifts that those problems hold. sometimes we have difficulty identifying what those gifts are. Can you help us in that identification?
Yes, it is not the nature of this teacher that I'm using his vocal cords to give readings, and so this borders on the line of a reading, but I would say to you that if you are having so-called problems, disturbances, illnesses, or whatever in your physical life, then you can be assured that it has come from your thinking patterns. It has come from your past, whether this life or some life in the past. And some of these negative patterns are so buried in your subconscious and in your soul memory that it is difficult for you to see them from the conscious level. And this is why I say that most on this plane need some extra help. And by going through classes, by going to whatever appeals to you, to bring this up to the surface. And it does not come all at once. It comes a little at a time. Your influence from yourself, and this is where you are really influenced, is from your own negative patterns or your own positive loving patterns. You see, you are a God, whether you know it at this time or not. You are all gods. And as you understand this and bring forth the power of your godhood and allow this divine light to come into your mind, then the understanding will come. And as you watch yourself, as you play the role that you are playing on this physical plane, learn to be objective. Learn to stand back and take account of yourself. Take an inventory every once in a while about your life and see what is going on in your outer life. Then relate it to the inner life, to your thoughts, to your feelings, your moods, your attitudes, your desires. All of these come under the heading of thought. And you see, it is thought that Spirit works through to reach you on the physical conscious level. Thought is a prism that Spirit works through, and thought is from the mind. So the mind is the channel or tool that you, the higher self, the spiritual being, the God that you are, uses to work through to reach you on the physical five sense level. And when the mind is distorted with all kinds of negative concepts or thoughts, then it is difficult for the spiritual being, the God within you, to reach your conscious awareness. And so it is good to cleanse yourself, to learn to be aware is what you are asking, is it not?
To learn to accept the gifts the problems hold. Yeah.
Speak a little louder, please.
To learn to accept the gifts that the problems hold.
Yes. Your thoughts create the problems, so-called problems. There truly are no problems. They are opportunities when you look at them from the spiritual side. And when you cleanse yourself, take time to sit down, quiet your body and your mind each day, maybe 2 or 3 times a day, and be still within yourself. Then it is much easier for your higher self, or the God within you, to reach your conscious awareness and help you to become aware. Now, my dear one, it is not always necessary to root out all of these things and analyze them and bring them up to the surface and everything as some do. there are two ways of doing it. One way is bringing them up to the surface and looking at them and eliminating them. Another way is to learn to keep your thoughts on the goal ahead of you, to keep your thoughts on spirit, on truth, on light, on love, and not allow them to deviate to the negative. Now this is difficult for most because of habit patterns, and these patterns automatically activate when certain things happen around you that relate to some experience from the past. And this is why you have classes to go to learn slowly, not quickly, not overnight, but to learn slowly the patterns that are in your subconscious and your soul memory that are giving you the so-called problems, the disturbances that you want to be free of. Be patient with yourself as you go through this cleansing process. Be patient with those around you because they are also going through the cleansing process, whether they know it consciously or not. And as you learn to love, and I'm speaking of divine love, as you learn to love unconditionally everyone and everything, every step of the way, then you are on the path that leads you upward to understanding. Now, from where you are at this time, most of you are not able to do that continuously. And so you fluctuate back and forth. But this is all right. Do not be concerned about making mistakes. Do not be concerned about how imperfect you think you might be. And when you do make a mistake and see it, do not frail yourself or feel guilty. Self-condemnation and guilt are very destructive forces. But do mark the mistake, and so that you will know what to change, so that you will know how to recondition your mind on all levels to re-educate it. When we are working with the mind, it has been given the reins in some ways for a long time, and it does not have the reason and logic that your conscious mind does. The subconscious does not have the reason and logic, and it does not know that it should change, and we have to take the reins consciously when we recognize what is happening, and then re-educate the subconscious and also the conscious mind to be what you want it to be. Does this help your understanding? Thank you for asking. Are there other questions? It is the way of the teachers from the dimensions that I am on to teach from divine love, to hold this up as the example, divine love. When you learn to love unconditionally yourself first, then it is much easier to love others. But when you are overly concerned about mistakes that you make, or that you are not already perfect, or anything else, then you are working against yourself, and you are standing in your own way of progress. When you learn to love yourself and accept yourself where you are on the path, where you are towards your goal of being master over this plane, and being at peace about it, learning to relax physically and mentally at peace, but being aware and marking your mistakes, then you have a better advantage of making the changes, because you do not waste time frailing yourself over something that you've done that you consider improper. Are there other questions this evening?
I have a question.
Yes, would you speak loudly, please?
You were speaking about opportunities that we have at this time on this planet that weren't available before. Would you expand on that?
Yes. It has come to light even in your own president and his wife about astrology. Now, I do not want to get into astrology, but it does fit in with this a little bit, because the planets, as your sun and its planets travel around this huge, much larger sun than you are, you see you are in different places in the universe, and there are different vibrations. And as the completion of this trip around this larger sun, which is a little less than 26,000 years, then you move in to the Aquarian age. You come out of the Piscean age. If you will think your master teacher called Jesus, when his disciples had to go underground, as you would call it, because they were crucifying them, they had the sign of the fish that they would draw on the ground. And this would say to someone else that they are of this teaching. And this is the Piscean age. It was when Jesus was born. This was the ushering in of that age. And it has been almost 2,000 years, or around that, since he appeared in the physical known as Jesus. He is incarnated many times before that and since then, but this is the time that he was known, and that your Bible talks about. This golden age, he came to prepare for this golden age. Now, let's take the difference between your Old Testament and your New Testament as you speak of it. And I do pray that you will not be confused by these words. But you see, the Old Testament was of the past, and the New Testament was the time when Jesus came to prepare the way for this particular time right now, to bring in a new message and to help to clear up the distortions of truth that have come down through the ages. And if you will reflect for a moment, almost every 10 to 20 years your language changes, even in your English language. You see, the new generations bring in their own language that they use, their music and everything. And so through the years, because of the change in language, the misunderstanding of words, the real truth has become distorted. And this is the reason that your master teacher called Jesus came into the physical to bring a more clear message of understanding because of the distortions. Now, at this particular time, this is another age that has come in. And the avatar who will come in at this age is you. There will be many teachers come, such as Buddha, Jesus, all the others that are well known, who have reached Christhood. But this time, the emphasis is bringing forth the Christ within you, bringing forth the Christ consciousness, because the vibrations that are hitting this planet and everything on this planet are raising your consciousness. And you can go in two ways, in the negative way or the positive way, as you know these words. You can hear on your news that many have gone in the destructive way. you who are here are striving to move higher and use these acceleration of vibrations in a positive way. Every day it is more higher vibrations, greater opportunities that are here for you. And if you can keep your thoughts pure, and this does not mean perfection as yet, but do the best that you can to cleanse yourself of these old negative patterns and bring forth love from your heart into your life. Understand that everyone on this planet is doing the best they can with the past conditioning that they have had, with the opportunities that have been presented to them, even those who kill others. And this is difficult for some to accept, but it is true. If you knew a better way to do, you would do it, would you not? Everyone would. And so when we understand that the vibration increase of the vibratory rate increases the negative as well as it increases the positive. Is this clear?
Yes.
In your thinking? So you see, this is why we hear of more destruction at this particular time. But as I said before, there will come a time when those entities who have not raised their consciousness to high enough level as yet will have to incarnate on another planet similar to what this has been in the past, so that this planet can move forward. It is the time for the entity of this planet to be raised up and Christed, such as the experience that happened to the man called Jesus that you know of. Did I make anything clearer for you?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
It is a great privilege to be with you and in a group of ones like you who are seeking to know, to understand, and to grow and expand your consciousness. There is so much to experience in the universe. And my dear ones, the universe is your playground. The universe is yours. The whole of life is yours. You brought it into existence, you and your Creator. Your Creator has given you freedom to be whatever you want to be, to choose the time that you will raise your consciousness or to go backward. And through this free will, as you call it, you are moving into the consciousness of your Godhood. And as you rise above the trivial things of this physical plane, the negative things, and become master of them, then you become master of this physical plane and will be able to demonstrate your mastership just as Jesus demonstrated it while he was in the physical. This was the reason for his incarnating in the physical from a very high level and going through the 33 years of experience that he went through is to set a pattern for you to follow. And he said to the ones who were close to him, you call disciples, and whatever he said to them he meant for everyone. He said, ye shall do the things that I do, and even greater. And I want you to take this personally. I want you to take this into yourself and to realize that in the deepest part of your being that you can master this plane. And as you master this plane, to be able to stop the wind, to walk on water, to heal the blind, and whatever, then you move up to another dimension higher than this one and begin to, as an apprentice, to master that dimension. This is the nature of life. It is constantly expanding and bursting into more of itself. And as you move forward and go with the flow of life and the greater vibrations that are here at this particular time, you have great opportunity to accelerate your growth. Where it was not here a few hundred years back. It has always been here, but the experiences that are happening now give you a greater opportunity. There have been masters, there have been entities who have mastered this plane every century, but now there will be many who master this plane as you move into this golden age, into the Aquarian age as you have named it. Are there other questions?
Don, I'm a little bit confused on. We spoke much tonight on mistakes. Are they really mistakes, or are they learning experience?
They're learning experiences, but I do have to use your language. It is limited, very limited, to communicate with you. And there will come a time shortly when you will do away with your language and speaking as we are doing now and move into thought, transference, mind to mind, and the communication will be much greater and much easier to understand. Words are limiting because everyone has their own concept of what a word means. And they are soon outdated, but they're continued to be used as you move forward in your acceleration. So in a short time, and I cannot say how much time, you will do away with speaking and transfer your thoughts and be able to communicate to someone in 3 seconds what it would take 3 hours to say in words. And the communication will be much, much greater because you can transfer a picture, a feeling, a complete thought, and it is there instantly. This is the way that we communicate on the dimension that I live on. But it is a great privilege for me to lower my vibrations weekly to come and to speak with you. And there are many here who are beings of light that have come to be with you at this particular time and to help you to understand and to grow into the spiritual giants that you truly are. I see that your time has gone by quickly in this session this evening, and I will not hold you longer, but I would have you know that you're held in great esteem by us from these higher realms and from your teachers and your guides. You are loved much, and I would have you to open your hearts to this love and to realize that you are never alone, and that when you have a question inside yourself, ask it of yourself, and it will be heard. And if you can learn to listen with the inner ear, you will hear and know the answer. Practice these things. Practice seeing with the single eye and the inner ear, and you will hear the truth. You will see the truth through the cloud of illusion on this physical plane, and you will be the spiritual giant as you truly are. God bless you, my dear ones, and good evening. Shall we stand and hold hands? Let us think of ourselves coming together in the physical as we have been in spirit, and bringing down the spiritual understanding to the physical by holding hands, and allow the divine love to move around this circle from the right to the left, gaining momentum, building up power, filling this room with divine love, spreading out over the city, covering this whole planet. Let us see great abundance going to everyone on this planet and everyone connected with this planet on other dimensions and other places. And let us see an extra abundance of it going to the world leaders, to all those connected with the world leaders. An extra abundance going to all the trouble spots in the world, to all those involved in trouble spots. Let us also see God's love going ahead of us into this week, into our every thought, word, and deed, into every situation, into every encounter. And as we move from moment to moment, from place to place, from thought to thought, let us remember that that love is there to meet us, to help us to see, to understand, and to move higher in consciousness. Thank you, John. Thank you. Yeah. Water, John? Yes.
We need to mess out those things over.
Pardon?
Those brochures I'm sending with God's love.
Oh, yes, we don't have any out here, do we? I'll get some. Yeah. In my history, I usually tell it to the new students who come to class. In 1955, we started receiving messages from the other dimensions, such as we did tonight. And I moved to Arizona in 1958 as a group. And one of the things that our main teacher, Eloah, and Jesus would come and talk to us at times, taught us is the art of sending God's love. And this is the highest form of prayer that I had found. And I've written this article on it. Maybe it'll explain this. One of the most important things that he told us is that you don't have to be perfect. All you need to be an open channel for God's love is to be willing. To be willing. And just know that it's flowing through. You don't have to feel anything or even see anything. But he said you can start out by thinking of it as light coming down through the top of your head and being multiplied many times like a dynamo generator and going out to a person, place, or situation, or to the whole world, and even to the whole universe. It was very great privilege for me to be a part of this group, and this is where my understanding, the classes that I teach came from, was the other dimensions. And we usually sit around and talk a little bit about different things afterward, if you'd like to. Explain to me.
Already sending God's love, it really works. I've seen it time and time again. Worked for me.
And it's very interesting, but you release it each time and don't look for evidence, just know that it is working. And sometimes you'll see it, the evidence of it, sometimes you won't. But Eloah, we asked him a lot of questions, and said, what if the person is not open for it? And he said, well, it stays in their aura for quite a while, but if they're not open, why, it soon diminishes.
But one of the greatest psychologists that ever lived, Dr. Carl Menninger, University of Kansas, said that love heals both the giver and the receiver.
That's right. Eloah said it's like a two-edged sword, and as it goes through you, it works for you, helps you. As it does when you send it out to a person, place, or situation. And we were encouraged, as our group, we didn't recruit new members in this group. Sometimes we did receive new members when they're just right. But it was, purpose of it was to be a powerhouse, sort of like a lot of other groups over the world, to help keep the balance on the physical plane. And I was in the group. I came in late 56 or early 57, I'm not sure. But then we moved from Oklahoma to Arizona in 1958 as a group. And there's a place on the desert 8 miles southeast of Florence. I lived with the group for 10 years and then moved to Phoenix to do this work, and been here 20 years. But it was like a different plane, because all of us were in one accord, and we had no physical leaders. Our leaders were on the other dimensions. And back in Oklahoma, we had contact 3 times a week, but when we moved to Arizona, we had contact on Sunday morning, and then we would get together 3 or 4 nights a week and talk about the lessons and discuss the things that we'd learned. We had someone donated us one of the big bells that are on trains, the old Western trains, you know, and so we put it up on a steel post about 20 feet high, and at 9:30 every morning we'd ring the bell, and those who were on the play, we called it the Oasis, and we didn't have a name for our group until we moved out here, and then we were known as the Oasis people. But we'd ring the bell, and everybody'd come to the big house, as we called it, where we had our meetings, and we'd read something from the lessons we had, or something inspirational, then have a 15-minute quiet time. And at 2:30 in the afternoon, we did the same thing. And being in that kind of atmosphere was very, very good, because you were around people like-minded, and you didn't get off base too much, too far. About half the people when we moved out here were retired, and the other half worked out. I was the youngest in the group, and so I started a business when I got here, and started this work in Collage, if you know where that is, and had a small office there and a small group. But after a while, I knew I had to move from there because I stopped growing. Everything was too easy. When you turned off the highway on a dirt road to go to the Oasis, where you feel the difference in the vibrations immediately, and everything there was in harmony. The only problem we ever had was some of the people had quite a bit of money, and so they were concerned that somebody might sue. See, so they thought we should incorporate, and so we did. And the biggest problem that we had is what should go in the bylaws. And we met on Tuesday nights for that, for, I don't know, 6 months before we got it straightened out. And about half the time I didn't go over because I didn't want to get in on it. That was the biggest problem that we had with the group.
Are they still meeting every week?
There's only 3 of the original. There were 17 when I left. Back in Oklahoma, there were about 30 in the group that came regular, and we had a mailing. We still have a mailing list of around 150 that the lessons go out to, and you can send for the lessons, and there's no charge or anything. You get them once every 2 months, and they're very beautiful. They, I don't really know, to tell you the truth, how, but Alberta, my ex-wife, we split whenever I moved from the Oasis to Phoenix, and I'm still in contact with her. She even keeps my books here. But she's taking care of the other people who are in their 80s and they're getting ready to graduate, so she takes them to the doctor and whatever they need. They didn't become perfect already. But Alice is, I don't know, she's overcome about 5 different physical things. Had a heart problem, she overcame that. She had violet fever very bad and overcame that. Skin cancer, and now she's dealing with something else, and I forgot what it was. But the last time I felt self-work, I said, it's almost gone. So, they're working, I feel like Alice and those that are still hanging around are working out the rest of their karma so they won't have to come back.
Did Ella channel through a certain being, a certain entity?
Well, we took turns in channeling. There were a few people who did a lot of the channeling. Alice was one of them. Maida was one, and but when new people would come into the group, like Aloha would encourage them to practice making contact while the group and set aside so much time. Like in Oklahoma City, we met on Sundays, and some people went to church in the morning, so we met around 1 o'clock, and we'd be there all afternoon, you know. And it would give the new people time to practice making contact in the group with the group vibrations. And then after a while, they would practice at home or someplace sounds.
Can the people in the oasis tell whether they are going to come back again?
I don't know, to tell you the truth. I don't know whether I'm going to come back. Yeah, I have a feeling I will, because I don't think I've cleared up a lot of things in this life. I've had about as many experiences that you can have in one incarnation in this life.
Some good, some bad.
And
Except there is no good, no bad.
When you said it was too easy for you, Don, what did you mean?
well,
I mean, is that why you came to Phoenix, because you needed to rub up against some other things?
yes, and you know, that's why we come in the physical, because the higher dimensions are too easy. And you know, most people who leave this plane through the experience we call death, at the Oasis we call it graduation, because it is graduation. They find themselves on the upper third dimension. And relative to this plane, it's beautiful, beautiful place. Vibrations are high, and everyone's, wherever you are, you're in accord with everyone and in harmony with everyone. And if you want something, you think it into existence. If you want to be somewhere, you think of that place, you're there immediately. And whatever. And so a lot of entities think that's heaven, and they get stuck there, but there's many, many dimensions above that. And I forgot the question you asked.
You said that it was too comfortable for you, too easy,
Yeah.
so you moved to Phoenix.
Yes, well, we created our own little oasis there, and it was away from the world, they might say, because we were all in harmony with each other. Of course, we bought the land as a group, and if you wanted to plant a tree or build a fence, we all had to get together and decide that it's all right. But that wasn't much of a problem, things like that.
Well, Don, what about monks in a monastery then? They're retreating from the everyday physical problems to an extent. Would they take care of their karma and their problems faster if they did not seclude themselves from the world?
It depends on the individual. Everything's an individual thing, and you can't say, you can't make a standard for anything like that. When I was in college, I had a student who was an engineer, and he was 32 and had never married or anything, and he got acquainted with self-realization, Paramahansa Yogananda's thing, and they have an ashram, and he decided to go into this ashram. And he talked to me about it. I said, well, I don't know, I don't tell people what to do. There's one thing Elwa taught us, and one thing that he said, a higher teacher will not tell you exactly what to do. They will help you to understand the truth, but they won't tell you what to do. But I almost told him I didn't think it was the right thing, but he did it anyway. He stayed in 2 years, and when he came out, he said, "Don, you were right." Because you take yourself out of the world and out of the opportunities that most people call trouble and problems.
Of course, they have a pretty tough life, though. They start
Sometimes, yeah.
physically, it's not very comfortable.
Yeah, sometimes. But you're secure there. See, you don't have to worry about paying the bills or getting enough food there.
I don't have the feeling that you left because things became too easy. I have the feeling that you left because, in the first place, you all came together for a purpose, to attain a certain whatever level. And then once you attain that level, it was time for you to separate, go different ways, and start other groups.
Yeah.
Because if you have to struggle along with path, I don't feel the path is right. If you can take a path and you flow with it, it's the right path.
Yes, that's true. But it's the struggles and the trouble and problems that give us the greatest opportunity to develop the spiritual muscles.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm the only one that's done anything like this in the group.
No one else is, yeah, but they're doing their own thing in their own way.
Yeah.
I mean, once you form a group like that, each person gets enough out of it that no matter where they go, they're gonna, even if they don't show it,
Yes.
they're still doing it.
Yes, that's right. Well, this has been a nice evening. Shall we call it a class?
Impressive. Did. Come to the weeks, take the fast.
Yeah, I think.
Feel.